Hey everyone, Jen here with Teacup Tiny Homes, and today we're talking volumes about tiny homes. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the three-dimensional space that is inside your tiny home and how you can most effectively use it to your advantage. Are you ready to go? So, what we're looking at when you walk up to a tiny home, those of you that have been inside a tiny home, when you've walked up to the tiny home, do you think, yeah, this looks about the size of my travel trailer or an RV or whatever else? And then you walk in the door just to be blown away by how big it actually feels. We have people comment all the time when they go through our tinies. And that is because of the volume inside. So one thing that really adds to that is the height of the ceilings in a tiny home. So when you walk into tiny homes, it feels so tall and so huge a lot of the time because we're dealing with 10-foot high ceilings or 11-foot high ceilings because we want to capitalize on that vault. So in a standard residential home, a lot of the time when you have flat ceilings, they're either 8 feet high or 9 feet high. And that's why when you walk into a tiny home, it can feel so much larger than what it actually appears to be. Cool, hey? So three-dimensional space. Three tips right now to consider when you are designing your tiny home. And your builder, of course, can help you out with these tips, and they're going to make sure that you are designing your tiny home so that it gets the right look and the right feel that you're going for. So something to include your builder on as well. So number one way to very efficiently use the three-dimensional space in your tiny home is by thinking upwards. Think about that volume. Think about the wall space that you have, especially when we're talking about storage. Shelves. Floating shelves are the best thing that you can use on those walls. So have you ever had a garage or been in someone's garage where they have stuff all over the floor and it seems like it's so cluttered and it's so full of things? And then lo and behold, you decide to buckle down one weekend and you're going out and you're buying shelves and hooks and all the things, and you put your bike on the wall and the ladder on the wall and you put the Christmas decorations up on the shelves, and lo and behold, you have the same amount of stuff inside the garage, except you have so much more actual room to function. That's what I'm talking about. Use the volume inside the space to your advantage so you can put things that you use every day. They don't need to be just decorations. And to be quite honest, I would suggest you don't use a lot of decorations. Although we use them in staging our tiny homes, they're not that functional, right? So what you want to think of are those things that you use sometimes, maybe here or there, but you can also dress them up so that they do look like decorations. It can be something that is very functional, and put it up on that shelf and get it out of the way so that when you do go to use it, it's a little bit further away. So if you use it every day, that's fine. Hop up, grab a stool, grab it up, or else use a lower shelf for something that you use every day. A lot of the times we see things like bikes. They're hanging from the ceiling, or they are hanging from some racks or some hooks. So you want to make sure that it's easy to get to, but also that you're utilizing those higher ceilings in your tiny home. So that's tip number one. Make sure you're using that three-dimensional space of the tiny home to store things, and using shelves is a really great way to do so. Shelves or hooks, that sort of thing. Point number two. Make sure everything has its space, and this is so very important. When you're figuring out what you're going to keep, what you're going to get rid of as you're going tiny, or say you've been going tiny for a while, of course you already know this. What you have in your tiny home is very important. Things that you don't use or you don't need, they take up prime real estate in your tiny home, and you should probably try and sell them on Kijiji. So make sure that what you do have and what you're keeping, especially as you're going through the design process, is you're measure that crock pot and see exactly how much space it takes up. If you love cereal, measure cereal boxes. If you like to buy those jumbo cereals so that you never run out, then measure those too, because the last thing you want is to not have a shelf to put your cereal on. Or you don't want to have this beautifully designed tiny home and then you go to put your things inside it and nothing fits where it's supposed to. That is going to drive you crazy. So make sure that when you're in the design phases of your home, you are measuring the cans of soup. You're measuring everything that you want to put in there, your stack of jeans, or how many shirts it takes up in your closet. With the ones that you want to keep, make sure that you measure that space so that it's designed accordingly when you move in, and then you're going to be the happiest living in your tiny home when everything has its place. Another thing, and lastly, something that is often forgotten about in home design, big homes, little homes, and that's circulation space. Circulation space is the space that you use to circulate your home in, of course. So floor space that is designed specifically for walking. In tiny homes, often what I like to plan for is about 24 inches. That's about, it's close to about as tight as I always want to go. In standard homes, it's about 30 to 36 inches wide. That's usually what we plan for in like standard design, even offices, that sort of thing, 42 inches wide. But in tiny homes, 24 inches, that's pretty good. So that's the space that you want if you're walking in and around your cabinetry or in and around a pantry, or even considering these things that you might be hanging on the wall or moving in or out. You want to make sure that you have enough room. One thing, I mean, I'm guilty of it, maybe you are too, and that's I try and load all the grocery bags on my arms at the same time, including a baby and a 3-year-old and a purse and a water bottle and a coffee that doesn't have a lid, and then I try and get through the door with all of that stuff, and lo and behold, you catch a bag, it rips open, and out roll the apples onto the floor, whatever it may be. Spill your hot coffee, and everything's a disaster. So lesson number 1 there, I guess, is don't try and take all that stuff in one trip. Lesson number 2 is make sure that your circulation spaces are big enough so that you can fit in even when you're carrying things. So let's say you have that bike rack that's hanging from the ceiling and you want to hang your mountain bike there, but yet you've designed your home so tight that you can't actually fandangle your bike up there onto the hook. You're going to be really unhappy when you try and put your bike inside your tiny home and there's no space for it, right? So all that planning and design time, make sure that you're thinking about the space you need to circulate in and out. That includes moving things when you're holding things. Think of larger things. If you have a dog kennel or a laundry basket, they make some super awesome pop-out expandable laundry baskets. But when it's full of clothes, you're still going to have to know how to take that from one room to another. I mean, on that note, even if you're building your own tiny home, make sure you measure the stuff that's going in before you build it. Sometimes you have to build things right into your tiny home. So tubs and shower surrounds, for example. There's no way you're getting a tub and shower surround in your tiny home after the walls are all built. There's no way. You can try. I mean, maybe you have, and maybe you've had to use a renovator, but really what we have to do, because of the units we use and because we like those big shower spaces for you guys, then we actually build around our tubs and showers because there's no way that we have enough circulation space to get them in to the tiny home after the walls are built. So those are all some really great things to consider when you're building and looking at the design of your tiny home. Make sure you're really diving deep into your needs, wants, and goals of your tiny home and your tiny life, or your big life that you'll be having in a tiny home, and make sure you're really analyzing what you need in that space. By doing this and spending a little bit of extra time up front, you are going to be so much more happier, and you're going to be able to live the tiny life that you've always imagined in your tiny home. If you have any comments, please, please, please post them below, and I will for sure check them out. If you do not follow us on Instagram, head over there for some more great tips, and you can see some of our sass behind our builds and just who we are as a culture, and that is at Teacup Tiny Homes. If you want to join our subscription list, go to teacuptinyhomes.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage, and enter your email. Hope to see you again soon, and hope you enjoyed this video. Bye!